Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're tuning in. My name is Jonathan Torres-Herrera, and you are watching the JTH Show. Today, we actually have our very first interview. Yeah, I interviewed Marc Mercado, who is actually a friend of the show. We actually kind of did an interview before. And, because, I'm kind of relatively still new to all this. I might have forgotten to press record. But anyways, it got us, gave us an opportunity, rather, to really get to know each other. So we actually planned a second interview, which you're about to see here. And we go over a whole bunch of topics, from the standpoint of just, two guys out here in the world, trying to survive, trying to make it, trying to be, informed and trying to make, informed decisions about life. So I really hope you guys enjoy. And as always, if anybody else out there would like to be on the show, I welcome everybody and anyone that, wants to come on here and just, talk life with me, because at the end of the day, isn't that really what we all do? When we talk to a friend, to somebody at work, at the coffee shop, wherever, it's good to have that communication, right? That back and forth to really give us things to think about. Now, at the beginning of the show, full disclosure, I was having some issues, some technical issues, but eventually I do get to be able to get the computer to work to actually continue recording Marc, because this interview, by the way, is remote. He is halfway, I think, through the United States. I'm in Cali. But, anyways, I got it to work. So, I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. All right. So, Marc, thanks for coming back on the show. This time, thanks for actually sticking around the second time after we didn't record. I failed to record the first time, so that was fun.
Yes, it was.
Right. So, but it gave us some opportunity to get to know each other. To get some thoughts out enough where we both feel that it was a good mix, so we can come back on together and have another one of these great conversations. So, this time I know you want to talk more about like economics and financial talk, but first, so that the audience has some kind of substance of who you are and what you do. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
So to give a little bit of a background where it's at, kind of to start off where it is, where a lot of people, and this also included myself, have the instant gratification thought process, where if I can't have it to afford it now, I'll find another way, like by using OPM, aka other people's money. And I was able to rack up about $272,000 worth of debt, and this also includes a $232,000 home. So overall, I had about about 50 grand or less of personal debt.
Wow.
And I was able to work it off, get the house sold. So that took off 230 of the 272. And the rest of them, I just worked like a madman and just got everything paid off. And now I'm debt free.
Look at you, man! Wow, it's quite a story. Where do you live off right now? Where do you stay?
Currently, I live on my own, and I just went and bought a house, and I live in Tooele. It's like the countryside in a way of Utah. And it's about, if you kind of get an idea, if you're not sure where it is, think of Salt Lake City, and it's about 35, 40 minutes west of that.
Yeah, I can relate. Okay, yeah, I mean, at least I know where that's at. I used to live, I think I told you before, in Oklahoma. So as far as quote unquote country living, right? I definitely know what you mean. It's nice, isn't it? It
was so awesome. Like early this morning, we were loading about 2.5 tons of hay bales, and they were the smaller kinds. They were maybe like 50, 60 pounds worth. And so we had a truck and trailer. We hauled that thing in like 7 in the morning, and they had 4 piglets. They were so cute, man. Like, they were all huddled in the corner, like, trying to get freaked out because they're not really used to people yet. And they were just like the cutest things, man. I'm like, I'm not really like a pig person, but I'm like, I would go and chase one of those.
No, that's nice,
2
man.
cows, a couple of chickens, and like, that was awesome.
You're basically defining some moments that some of the, I never did it in Oklahoma, pig chasing. But you're definitely describing.
They're fun as heck, man. You'll get dirty, but they're fun as heck.
Yeah. I mean, again, I never did it, but I had some technicians out there that would talk about things like that. And yeah, man, why not? Right? Sounds fun to get down and dirty with the animals. So let's now the audience have a little bit of a of a background of who you are, kind of where you're at, and stuff like that. Why don't you start? Or let's start with talking about why you're so passionate about financial stability and stuff like that. Like what of that topic really what sets you off, gets you going?
It was one of those things where I really wished they had it taught in high school, because we don't all pay attention to every single subject, but I did pay attention to our financial literacy class, and what was taught to us, the only thing that really stuck out besides trying to balance your checkbook is how to write a check. And it's like, okay, so when did that really apply? Like maybe 5 times in the whole 30 years that I've been alive?
Yeah. No, I get you. It's true. I preach a lot, right? Sometimes on the show I'll go down and I'll talk about things that I feel that should be spoken about more. But here's the thing, man, and this is my opinion, of course, like everything. I think that while it should be spoken about more, and there is, I would say, it's probably one of the top things in your life that you should be educated about. Financial talk gets a lot of people sleepy, right? And it gets a lot of people bored, and a lot of people will tune out, right? And it's sad. It's very sad, because at the end of the day, a lot of people will sit and complain about how tough it is for them to make it out in the world, and how bad in debt they are, or behind with their bills. And yet, if you were to ask them and have a sincere conversation with them and ask them, when's the last time you had you took a class and when it comes to do with your financials, they probably couldn't tell you, and if they tell you about a class, they really didn't take anything away from it. Now, on the other hand, to be fair, it is hard with the overwhelming amount of these quote unquote financial gurus that exist out there, right? That speak about this is how you make your $1 million, but they won't put their bank account on the open, right? And if they do, there's cases where people have been caught lying, falsifying stuff. I mean, it's so scummy in some situations where people, these gurus I'm referring to, have been caught, fudging the numbers by literally outright, manipulating their HTML code to show that they're making all this crazy amount of money, on anything that they're preaching, right? Anything, their Amazon, their drop shipping, their investments, anything.
Especially like those YouTube ads that they have, and then like these dudes, they're showing, what do you call them? Like their Lamborghinis and big houses and all that. I'm like, oh man, you guys need to quit, because the old saying goes, if it sounds too good to be true, 9.9 times out of 10, it usually is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is. It ends up being, at least.
So
you were saying.
Backtrack into it a little bit. It makes a whole lot of people sleepy. And actually, there was a new group that came out, I would say 2-3 weeks ago, give or take. It's called the Tony Robbins Comeback Challenge, and it was officially hosted by Tony Robbins' team, and he was also in it. So for about 7 days worth, he did live videos between 2 to 4 hours each day. And they were all in tune, and they were all kinds of hyped up. But the thing that I found kind of interesting is they made one of the subjects for one of the days to be about finances, of how to be able to make your money work for you. And I kid you not, I took screenshots, it was pages and pages and pages of people that are scratching their heads and falling asleep, not knowing what to do, and asking where to start. They just don't know.
Wow, I'm actually looking at it right now as we speak. Yeah, no,
it's called Tony Robbins Comeback Challenge.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at it. It looks interesting.
It is, and there was this way he made that group kind of as a way to like give back to people because he can't do his shows because his shows obviously had like a ton of people in it.
Right, right.
But that's just like what I found it interesting because it's mostly for people that are on the later stages in life, and they're like 50s, 60s, some that are even on 70s. They don't have much of anything to retire on, and that's really, really scary.
Well, it's. I think what happens a lot of the time is, and actually I heard of this, and I'm always. I feel like I'm always dogging on TikTok, but of all places, I've heard on TikTok, right? I heard this kid probably does. He's probably not over a day over maybe 25, 26.
Oh yeah,
and he was referring to a lot of the stuff that usually is pretty good advice, right? Like savings, investing. He was basically upset because there were so many individuals on TikTok talking about, financial literacy and talking about investing and stuff like that. And he was so upset. He was ranting of like, this is not the up for that. Go take, and this is what got me, by the way. He said, go take that old talk to another platform. And to me,
talk. Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, to me, right? To me, that screamed, someone that is bored by speaking about having a strong and secure future, right? It's boring.
Yeah.
Hell, people watching this podcast right now, or rather hearing or watching the podcast, they'll probably feel that same way. They'll probably tune out in the first 10 minutes at best, and it's usually because they don't want to hear talk about something that's not entertaining. That's not entertaining in the sense of like drama, whether it be on social media drama, creator on creator drama, big celebrity drama. What did Trump say? What's the next, rally? That is interesting. But speaking about having a strong financial future, it's not, right? It's only interesting to them, by the way, that I've seen once they're in ruin. In the sense of like debt, being kicked out of their parents' house or wherever they live, even if they live on their own. That's when it's like important. That's when they want to know. Like, oh my God, tell me, because I need to get out of this, this debt. And it's like, dude, there's no magic pill. If you don't start working, right, towards your future.
So really quick though, before we go further into it, like, okay, let's say you're someone who's just barely listening or barely tuning in, like, what is this? And let's say if you had a $1,000 emergency right now, would you have the actual funds to cover it and not have to worry about like trying to borrow money from someone or use your credit card?
Right.
Or if let's say, if you get fired from your job for no reason that is not even close to your fault.
Yeah.
How are you going to survive for the next 30 days? Would you have some means to cover yourself? Or let's use another subject, kind of like what we just touched up on not that long ago. Let's say you're very close to your retirement. Can you actually retire and live comfortably? So if it's not any of those situations, this is probably one of the best times to tune in.
Absolutely. Most people cannot. By the way, that's my belief. The question you just asked about if they were to have a $10,000 emergency, I don't think that most people can cover a $1,000 emergency. I genuinely believe that they cannot. Like $1,000 to maybe $2,000 could potentially ruin somebody right now. Granted, I don't mean right now as in because of what's happening in the world, people have lost their jobs. No, I mean like even this decade, and if you don't want to get so wide as far as saying the last 10, 12 years, the last 3 years before this pandemic hit, and it took away a lot of jobs and stuff like that. No, I'm talking about the last, 24 months, 36 months. Most people, in my opinion, and from what I've seen, could not take some kind of loss of $2,000 to $3,000 because either A, that's all they had in their savings, B, they never actually even had a savings to begin with, right? They just never started savings, which is extremely scary.
I mean, I'm sorry for laughing, but really, like, no one is going to take charge of your life unless you do.
Damn right. Damn right.
Trump's not going to save you. The government's not going to save you.
Damn right.
The saying goes is that the government, which is very well known for its ability to handle money, will not take care of you.
Damn right. Why? I mean, let's be honest. Why do we believe that the government should take care of us to that extent? Right? I'm not talking about immediate welfare. If you are, for some reason, something devastating happens to you and you're on the street. No, of course, I mean, I wouldn't want anybody that, to be on the street, literally dying of hunger. That's atrocious. That's bad. That's horrible. We'll have to sleep on the street. Why it happens is a different conversation we can have, but I wouldn't want anybody, right, that doesn't want that for themselves. So, yes, welfare, Section 8.
Let me kind of touch up on what you just said about, not having a home anymore. Because when my life was crumbling into pieces, I literally didn't feel like, even though I owned a home, I couldn't really stay there because we were in the process of breaking up with my ex-fiancée.
Right.
So in the process of it, instead of wallowing in my own self-pity,
right.
This was a 1994 Mazda Protege. And the thing overheats and it slips out of the transmission and it's stick shift. And I drove that thing all the way from Utah to Indiana.
Damn.
And I got it back. And this was me sleeping in the car because, you know what? Instead of, like I said, wallowing in my own self-pity,
yeah,
there was an opportunity, a job opportunity waiting for me. Even though it was hundreds and hundreds of miles away, I was going to get there no matter what.
Right.
And
right.
This was one of the sad things too is, I don't really understand because I used to give all the time when it comes to people holding signs on the side of the road saying, need help, God bless, those kinds of things.
Yep.
But I've stopped because there was one time, this was in North Carolina, and I gave money to this person that was asking for some help. And so I bought him food, the whole 9 yards. And the door greeter, or the people greeter as they call them, yeah, that person does that all the time. They drive a car and they don't need any kind of help. They just do that to use people. And
yeah.
From that point on, I just stopped. And going back to it though, is it's hard to tell who really, really needs help. And if that's the case, don't feel hopeless. Don't feel defeated, because all you really got to do is make a decision to be like, I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's always going to be arguments to that, right? And saying, well, it's not that easy, yada, yada, yada. And by the way, if you ever watch any of my shows, I try to always point things like that out, right? Arguments. Because we have to be realistic in the fact that if we ever say, here's a possible solution to something, here's an opinion to something, there's always going to be one that is of equal passion against, right? So what I'm trying to say is, if you say something like you just say right now, hey, basically what it takes, I mean, let's be blunt about it, is for you to want to get out of that situation, right? Sincerely want to get out of it and fight, be a workhorse, and understand that that's what your life is going to be. Well, there's always going to be someone on the opposite side, right? That's going to be like, oh no, but it's not that easy. You're BS. You don't know the struggles. Even if you know the struggles, even if you came from those struggles, like you in your case, even if you literally came from the bottom and now you are where you are because you worked your ass off, there's always going to be that one person that says, well, it's easy for you. You know what I mean?
Okay, so easy for me. Okay, let's kind of just go back there for a second. Easy for me. Okay, I'm an immigrant.
Yep.
And from that point on, I didn't have any of the American rights when I came here.
Right.
And we worked through the legal system to be able to get Social Security numbers and all that fun jazz. So for the last little while, when I was able to work, I didn't have the exact same kind of opportunities.
Yep.
As some of them that was born in the U.S. They have all these. I mean, heck, let's get a little bit realistic, like what you said. First off, neither of us are white. I'm sorry to bring those things, but we're not white.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah.
We don't have those kinds of privileges, as some would call it. And you know what? That just doesn't define it at all.
It doesn't.
So what?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what is the excuse? Like, what are you whining about? Actually, there was this one dude. This was over in our city in West Valley, also in Salt Lake. He held the sign that he was looking for work, and our people were looking for him, offering him a job.
Damn.
So, I'm sorry. Like, what's your excuse?
Damn. Yeah. Listen, man. I've offered people before, right? Hey, do you want to make, $20, $30, right? People that I know, by the way, if I'm going to be completely fair. So I'm not going to say I went out to some random stranger in the street. No, people that I know that I've heard are struggling financially, right? That they don't know perhaps where even their next meal is going to come from. And, if I'm going to be also honest, I'm not in the movement of just giving shit away. I'm sorry. I'm not, right? But I've offered opportunities. Eileen, actually, right, who's listening in, Eileen probably can vouch better than I think anyone that I know other than my wife of how many opportunities I'll give anyone that says, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to make more money. Okay, here you go. Let's go. Here's what I've often found. It's very unfortunate. The majority of the times that I've given opportunities or tried to give opportunities to people to help their financial situation, I'm not going to say I'm a freaking pope and I've offered them to give them $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. I'm not a saint, all right? No, I'm not going to get that crazy. But hey, you want to make $100? Hey, you want to make $50? Hey, you want to make $30? Something to help you out, right? In the really, 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 really short term. I've had people, man, that almost want to start an argument with me over that. I've had people,
really? Why?
Yeah. I mean, from anything to, but you don't get the stress. I really got to go do this. I really got to go do that. Man, I would totally do it, JT. Thanks for helping me out, man. I really appreciate the love. But on that day, I got to go do this. I got to go do that. And I'm super flexible. Dude, I have a gardening guy that comes over and does like a whole house here, the whole property. And, I'm like, here you go. I pay him like about $120. I'm like, here you go. There is a guy, and the reason I bring him up is because there is a guy that has nothing. I mean, from what I understand, I don't know every detail of his life, but what he has told me is he is a guy that's probably well into his 60s, lives in a back shack of a house, of like a friend's house, that's supposed to be it's supposed to be, I guess, like one of those like little storage units.
Storage shed?
Yeah. But here he comes on time, early in the morning, 6 in the morning, pulls his own, all right? He doesn't have a vehicle. He doesn't drive. He probably lives, 6, 7 blocks away from me. So it doesn't sound a lot. It doesn't sound like a lot. But when you think about him bringing his weed whacker.
Still,
he brings his weed whacker and he brings his own lawnmower, pushes him or pulls him, whatever, and whatever tools he needs, and comes in for $120, does his job, and then leaves and comes back every single month, dude, like on clock. Like, I don't have to worry about a guy hey, when are you going to come and do this? Hey, when do you want to make money? Why am I saying this? Because there is a person that says, hey, man, I need to survive. I got to make some money somehow. I've offered the same offer to someone that I'm not going to put him on blast, probably 30-something, maybe even more, maybe 40 years younger, and has basically given me every excuse in the book to not want to. I know it's crazy. I've gotten everything from like, dude, I don't do well in heat, to, man, I would do it, but tomorrow I have a whole bunch of errands to do. And in that same conversation, this individual that I'm referring to has told me, dude, they're gonna take away my car. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. What do you mean? Yeah, they're gonna take. I owe a payment. The individual shared that they owed it was like a $75, $80. What they needed. Here's what I really think. And I told him, by the way, I'm like, you know what, man? The guy that comes in and cuts the grass never giving me an excuse. You're giving me every excuse. I'm willing to give the money to you instead of giving it to him, knowing that I don't even know if you know how to do the fucking job, by the way. But I'm willing to give it to you. He has all his tools.
Yeah.
I don't even know what tools you do have. But I'm willing to immediately give you that to help you. But what I really think you want is for me to just give you the $80-something
give you a handout.
What? So it goes back to the point we were talking about, right? About the government. It almost feels like some people,
really
not every person.
quick,
Yeah, they just want.
you said about someone who like gives excuses and all that. And let me give you a real life example. As the pandemic was still pretty hot in our area before we started to open up a little bit more.
Yeah.
There was this gal, pretty attractive single mom. Like, I definitely would date someone like her. And so here's what happened is she lived in Park City and had a massage therapist license and business. It was like a sole proprietor kind of a thing.
Right, right.
So when this thing hits, her business had to close. And so from the rental home that she had, it all came down to living in her car.
Damn. Wow.
And she got her kids taken away because she could not provide for them properly.
Oof.
Right? You're in that situation. And I did not really know about this until I decided to book a session when the place starts to open up a little bit just to help support a small business.
Right, right.
And, as soon as she opens her vehicle to take off, because it was one of those mobile massage places.
Right. Oh, it dropped me. Sorry. It just dropped me. It's like you've been talking too much. Goodbye. Just refresh. Sorry, man. Keep going. That was weird.
Yeah, even Google Meet got bored of it.
Yeah. No. It's me, man. Trust me. It's not you. Sorry. Go ahead. It was getting interesting. So you were saying the mobile massage lady. Yeah.
So she it's one of those mobile massage places where she has one of those foldable massage therapy bed.
Yeah.
And as soon as she was about to whip that out of her lift gate of the SUV, with the amount of stuff that I saw in the vehicle, I immediately knew she was living in her car.
Damn.
And I asked her, like, are you living in your car?
Yeah.
And she kind of got this look on her face where there was this sort of embarrassment, so to speak.
Right.
And, I'm like, to try to expedite the time is I didn't even, like, go for the therapy or for the session. I just paid her outright without, like, you can call it donation, you can call it charity, but I just call it helping a friend for a session that never happened, just for the heck of it. And I went this far to a point I tried to figure out where she was sleeping, how she was eating, the whole 9 yards. So I take her to Walmart, and I told her, get 2 weeks worth of groceries, the whole bill is on me.
Damn.
So she goes grocery shopping, and she didn't take a whole lot. I guess she didn't eat a whole lot. It was like maybe 90 to like $120 worth of stuff, so it wasn't a whole lot.
Wow.
But for one person, I guess it sort of varies. So anyways, after it was all said and done, and trying to still figure out what was going on, like how she got into that place. And this was when I was still working at Domino's Pizza as a delivery driver. I usually make about $300 a weekend night. That's for like 3 days worth, just in tips. And I gave her about $300 worth of cash, and I sent her off.
Wow.
And so again, these things cannot really happen if you don't put yourself in a position where you can't make it happen. Like you're not, what would you say, have the margin to help someone.
Yeah.
And this is why it's important, because if you have the what do you call them, like the space and the margin to be able to give, it changes people's lives. So anyways, going back to it, is after I did that, I offered to book another session. And I was getting a whole bunch of different excuses. And it's like, you know what? I tried to help you out of my own dime, which is not a big deal. I wasn't asking for anything back. All I ask you is just to check in with me. Just check in.
Right.
Let me know how you're doing, what's going on, how's your living situation. And I even offered to pay for a hotel for a whole week.
Damn. Jeez, man.
And it's like, because I know her personally too.
Right.
Like it was a little bit more of a one-on-one kind of a thing. And with that one stipulation, I'm not even asking for any kind of, how some people might use it as a friends with benefits kind of situation. I wasn't asking for anything, just check in.
Right. I mean,
and with that kind of a poor communication, nope, I was done. I cut her off.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, it's kind of like the least you can do. There's a few things that, when you help someone, you can ask, right? Especially when you help someone that has some kind of like severe struggles, right? Whether it be maybe gambling struggles, addiction struggles, you want to help them, but at the same time, it's not just the financial help. It's help them maybe, a little further than that. Sometimes wherever you can, at least emotionally, psychologically, being there for them, right?
Yeah, just a volunteer.
Correct, right? You're helping because you care. I mean, that's really what it comes down to it. And then you have those individuals, right, that kind of feel like, well, just give me the money and get out of my life. And at the end of the day, I at least I don't.
It's kind of sad though.
Yeah,
like
it is.
You just mentioned that.
Yeah.
Is the next time that she did hit me up is several weeks later when I felt like the money ran out. I had a feeling that the money that I gave her ran out, and she got in contact with me again. I'm like, sorry, I'm not doing this.
Now, does she
I
have
asked for
any
a simple stipulation, and you didn't do it. I'm sorry.
Does she have any like addiction problems?
I don't believe she had any kind of addiction problems. She did tell me about like what kind of debt that she's in.
Right.
But long story short is that if you're not willing to help yourself, people are just gonna quit on you, dude.
They are. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? Right? Let's be honest. Right? Yeah. Why wouldn't? I've been in that situation, man. I really have. Like I've been in a situation where I've tried to help, people with drug abuse issues. Right? I don't think isn't a secret for many people that knew me or know me personally. I grew up with a father that had those issues. And, while he went to rehab and recovered, I do have a kind of like a soft spot in my heart for people that have those kind of problems. I've never had them, right? I've never tried any drugs. My drug is food. And,
that's a good drug.
I mean, it is, but it has its downfalls. Trust me. I also got to control that. But, I still do have a soft spot for people that struggle. And I mentioned that because there was an individual that I try to help multiple times. This individual stole from me, outright, by the way, in my business. Stole, would lie to my face, it's crazy how the way they lie too, by the way. Would disappear, right, for days, weeks on end. Then they will show up once they're trying to get sober. And, and they're like, oh, I won't do it again. And, when you're not, maybe I was naive. Some people obviously told me that a few times. But I guess when you don't have that experience of dealing with an individual that is just taking advantage, drug addict or not, by the way, it could be anybody. I learned that also the hard way. Even someone that is used to having drama in their life, right? But anybody, period, that is used to having like their hand out, right? Say, here, oh, thank you. And then run away and have like no obligation to answer to someone that's helping them, right? Make right by that person. Then they'll just move on to the next individual. And that's what I found out, right? And that's what, that's what I was asking you. Does that person have any kind of like substance issues or, because that's usually what it is.
That I knew of,
right,
is that since she used to live in Colorado, I mean, this was like a regular thing where, pot is legal in Colorado, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it if you use it in moderation and you're not hurting anybody.
Right.
But it's like, okay, well, good for you. I don't have anything along those lines, but I don't know. That's the only thing that I can think of that I'm aware of anyways.
Right.
As far as like substance abuse. Then again, it's not always about that. Sometimes it just has to happen with whatever's behind your noggin.
Oh yeah,
or inside your noggin.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a mental thing, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be, like you just said, an issue or an addiction to a specific drug. It could definitely be a mental thing, right? Some kind of mental trauma that they're going through, which is the main reason, by the way. A lot of people are unable to find a fulfilling relationship, right? That's a big one for me as well. So I've been married. I think I told you this last time. I've been married for 14 years and counting. And one of the questions that I get every so often, right, from friends and even individuals, I even had somebody DM me that I don't even know who this person is. But they're like, hey, wow, it sounds like you and your wife have a really good relationship. It's so funny. It's the best part of your show, right? Which is like it's a micro amount compared to everything else that I do on the show, right? Just like the back and forth that I have with my wife, And she's like, I'm assuming it's a she, by the way, because she said, I wish I had that. It didn't work out like that with my last boyfriend. So again, I'm assuming she's a she, or the person's a she.
It can swing both ways, but I get what you're saying.
I'm just saying, I'm just going to referring to her as her. I don't want anybody to be offended.
Yes.
But anyways,
well, you know how they are with the thin skin.
Yeah. So, I'm like, hey, listen, thank you for commenting. Thank you for writing back. Really, it's not that hard. the only advice I can give you is, find someone that that you can genuinely share some of those moments with, like that, that you can make laugh, that you can be the dumbest guy in the room, you can be the most boring guy in the room, but if you have a significant other that thinks otherwise, then who cares about what anybody thinks, right? Who cares if anybody else doesn't find you funny? So when it comes to psychological issues, going back to my point, I think a lot of the times a big problem that we have is, and I'm not going to say in our time, because I didn't live 300 years ago. I don't know if that same problem existed. But at least right now that I'm living and I'm seeing is an issue with individuals not dealing with psychological problems. Now, this is nothing to do, by the way, with individuals that have hardcore therapists needed kind of like issues, right? Or maybe psychiatric evaluation issues. I mean, that's way over on the other spectrum of what I'm referring to, right? When there's someone that's dealing with suicide thoughts and stuff like that, that's way over there. I'm talking about immediately the psychological issues that I think all of us, you and I, anybody can have at one point in our lives, right? Some kind of problem with certain thoughts. Again, nothing to do with the other side of the spectrum with like suicide thoughts and hurting other people's thoughts. No. Issues like an example, by the way, with lying. Just lying. Lying, right? It doesn't matter if it's even for something that's like life and death. No. Just, hey, hey, did you go out earlier? No. And it's like, you have no reason to lie about that, right? So that's the type of problems. What's another issue? A minor issue of psychological problems. The need for drama.
To do with the upbringing, because
yes, of course,
has happened also in my case too. And we, besides the fact that we shouldn't really use any of those things as excuses, because we are 100% in charge of our own actions. And here's why: is on my upbringing side, I've actually learned this on one of the audiobooks that I listened to as well, that if you teach someone to lie for you,
right,
teach them to also lie to you.
Yeah, right. That's true. Damn, that's a good. Damn, that's a real good one.
I've actually, just because let's say someone's on the door, someone's on the phone.
Yeah.
Dad, it's for you.
Yeah.
Tell him not home. So what is that kid supposed to think? You're teaching them to lie, and you really can't smack the kid because you taught them how to do it in the first place.
Yeah. Damn, that is so good, man. That's such a good little saying. I never thought about it that way, I guess, but it's true, right?
It's by Zig Ziglar.
Okay. Yeah, it's a really good line. And it is true, right? When it comes down to, we are, I know the exact numbers, but someone once told me that, and it probably came from some book too, but, we can choose to be, it was like a 20-80 rule. We can choose to be 20% of what we have in control as an adult and 80% of what our parents told us we needed to be, or we can turn that upside down and be 80% of who we want to be and who we choose to be, and 20% of what our parents have forced upon us. Because we, at one point or another, even if you grow up in a foster home, I had a friend that grew up in a foster home the majority of his life, and he had different role models because he didn't just stay in one foster home. He was bounced around. And he's like probably the prime example that I can think of every single time when someone, by the way, says, "Oh, well, it's because my parents. Oh, it's because my mom is my dad." This individual, man, was bounced around, took all the great values, and he, by the way, this person's a grown man now, has I think 4 kids, lives someone back east, and he's such a great guy, and took again 20% of his childhood unfortunate circumstances, the teachings and stuff like that, and he made 80% of whatever he is now. He did it, right? Instead of some people repeating that vicious cycle, right? Like you just said right now, if they teach you to lie, if they tell you to lie, teach you to lie, right? So yeah, it's such a good one, man. That's a real good one. But yeah, I mean, issues, that's a good one with that lady you're talking about.
I can't really say I was any different, because when you were talking about like excuses, especially with the upbringing, like the straw that broke the camel's back, and I've actually used this for a long time, is I had a really bad temper to a point where you can almost put this on like reality TV.
Damn.
My ex-fiance and I would be outside, and you definitely get the attention of the neighbors for sure.
Wow.
That kind of a thing.
Wow.
And the way that I've always thought about it is because it's just the way it is. It was my upbringing. It's in my blood. Like the whole 9 yards. I pulled every single string that you can possibly think about.
Damn.
That's why I was, and I would say this too, like verbally abusive with my ex.
Wow.
And I was also financially irresponsible for the whole thing when I was supposed to be the man that was taking care of my own household.
Right.
It's just because it's the way that I was taught. And it's a whole bunch of bullcrap. And it didn't really dawn on me until like, wait a minute. You take a step back from you and say, are these actual legitimate circumstances that I have no control over?
Yeah.
Or can I actually do something about it? So fast forward about 2 years later, I have not once lost my temper.
It's good, man.
I've not once like yelled at anyone for any reason.
Right. No, it's good.
And it's like a complete 180. It's 180, isn't it? Like yes, it's 180 turn.
Yeah.
Because of a simple decision, and it doesn't happen overnight.
Well, it sounds like you also matured, right?
What's that?
It sounds like you also matured. Right? You also kind of like
what you were saying is that the 20% of the things that happened is you reevaluate of the things that have happened to you, because sometimes if they don't happen to you, you won't really understand of why you should change for the better.
Right. Yeah. That's true.
So let's use one example for you. What was one thing that happened to you that you decided to spark a change? It can be something small or something a little bit bigger than that.
So I have a big thing that I preach to my kids all the time, and I am obsessed with. And this is in no mean being disrespectful, and people always take it like it's disrespectful. I am obsessed with being better than my parents. Right? Not better to humiliate them or something like that. Well, first of all, better, because if I am better, then I can teach my children better lessons. What kind of switched around for me is that I didn't want to be part of the, I don't know, man, the cliche Latino, right? That has to work, his whole life, and only at the end does he or she get, like you just said, financially smart. Think that the only way to make money is by selling my hours of my life. I didn't want that for myself, right? I didn't want that. Like my dad, first of all, worked his entire life on an hourly job that at the end of the day, I saw what happened when he finally got, sick. And I say finally because that's kind of like what happens to all of us. At one point or another, we are going to get sick.
As you get older,
right, right? When he finally got sick to the point where it was more than just the sniffles, he got cancer. I saw what his employment did, And to be honest, I don't guilt them. They're an institution. They're a business. They're not, a charity. They're
they are a business.
Money.
They're not charity.
They're a business. So when they replaced them faster than they hired them, and they, for that matter, fought to not pay or pay as little as they could of their insurance. Again, I'm not in the crowd of like, you see corporations. No, they're a business. They're a business. Okay, that's it. It's a very black and white.
Hospitals are a business.
Yeah, they're a business. So to get to my point, what did I see? I saw a man that worked very hard, a man that countless individuals would tell him, dude, you're going to go work on your sixth day, again, like continuously weeks on end will work 6 days when he didn't have to. Man, you're gonna go out there and you're the first one to put overtime. My dad was very the hardworking classic individual that a lot of people know about, right? That it's raining or shining, he's out there working. Hard. Literally, my dad was the kind of guy that the business had to tell him, hey, you're about to like hit peak PTO, you have to take him. Right? Which, that was my dad, man. That's my dad. Like, my dad would have 4 weeks as a max you can accumulate in that job he held, and he would hit it. Every so often, it would reset. He would take, like, one obligatory day. And even on the days off, the guy would find a reason to go and, I don't know, like ask the neighbors to fill up the truck with trash, and he would take it to the dump. He was always doing something. So what's my point? That
he always hustles.
I saw that, and I didn't want that, man. And my dad, even my own father, before he died, we had plenty of conversations of him telling me, like, don't be like me. Like, do something else. Like, I'm doing this because I have very limited resources up here. My resources is my back, the muscles that I may have that help me out. But up here, I chose in my youth to be stupid, he would say, right? He wasn't, but that's how he felt, right? He felt like, I can't do a job at a desk and go back to school. He's like, I can't, I don't want to. Call it both, but you can. You have a different choice that you can make that I didn't have in my time. So anyways, to answer your question, what kind of drove me, man, is that those words and knowing that I can be better. And by the way, by me being better, to get back to what I was saying at the beginning, is for my parents, right? Not so much for my father anymore, but for my mother, right, who's still around. It's for them as well, right? So if I end up accomplishing anything in the next 20, 30 years that is of significance in comparison to now, it's going to benefit ultimately my mother, right? And it should, and it will, right? And one day it'll benefit my children when they want to go off and do something great. And what I tell them all the time is be better than me. Like that should be your accomplishment. People always dream about being better and as good as Bill Gates, or as good as, Steve Jobs or Warren Buffett. They always look up way out there when they have there's no roadmap, right? There's no roadmap for them to get there. They might read 20, 30, 50, 60, 80, 100 books. Great for them. They may accomplish something, but in my opinion,
they end up
crashing. And in my opinion, there's baby steps, man, right? You put yourself goals. Be better than your community. Be a leader in your community. Be a leader in your group. I have very few friends. I will tell you that I have friends that I consider genuine friends. They're probably in my hand. And for anybody watching this that's like, dude, what the fuck? If you're one of them, you're one of them. You know who you are. But I have a handful. Why? Because I want to be a leader in a group of individuals that wish to see me as so. Right? I don't want to be in a group of individuals that either see me as competition and they want to destroy me or are envy of me. And I think that's the problem, right? Many times in society that we strive to be like way up there. And it's like, wow, remember when Steve Jobs said that, you got to be crazy and then they'll believe you or some shit like that. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And it's they don't surround themselves with individuals that will believe in them. So how the hell are you going to get anywhere? And people say, well, believe in yourself. Let me tell you something, buddy. Okay? Apple is not Apple because only Steve Jobs believing in himself. If you fucking think that, you're a fool. Apple is Apple because Steve Jobs needed individuals and people that believed in Apple. Period. He went to another company. People forget that sometimes. And he failed in that company miserable. Right? Because nobody believed in that. People believed in Apple and the products he was spilling out. So individuals get very romantic and they're like, you only have to believe in yourself. And you don't need anybody else. I don't know. I don't know how true that is. I don't know how true that is when you have, supposedly, you don't need anybody to believe in you. Honestly, after being married for 14 years, I can tell you that is, in my case, wrong. I do want my wife to believe in me. I do need it to believe in me. And it pumps me.
It helps to have
pumps me.
At least one individual who believes and supports you.
Mm-hmm.
It helps big time.
Phenomenally.
Because sometimes when you feel like you have your own self-doubt, someone else telling you that you're really capable and you just need to dust yourself off and just get up.
Yep.
Because they've seen you do it.
Yep.
It's very encouraging, a whole lot more than what people think they are.
Oh, yeah.
So let's say, you know someone or someone who's listening to this knows someone, reach out to them. Tell them that they're doing a good job. Actually, I found this really kind of interesting, is the smallest praises, the smallest acknowledgments that I give my friends and acquaintances really ring a bell with them and it stays with them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
it's
man.
So weird.
Yeah. No, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, I've had people tell me straight out, hey, man, thank you for having this conversation with me. You know, there's somebody that works with
Yeah.
me. I never try to out anybody because I like to ask for permission first. But then I have somebody that works in our company, and that's not Eileen, by the way. Someone else that tells me, "Hey, man, thank you for sending those Slack messages. They really encourage me. I appreciate it. You know, thank you. That's all I wanted to say."
Yeah.
I've had people in my life that will tell me, you know, not very many of them, but that will tell me, "Hey, man, thanks for picking up the phone. You know, I really, really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I know you're busy with your kids and stuff like that." So it does, man. It does. You know what the problem here, Mark, is that people get romantic about being like this fucking gladiator, warrior, lone wolf. They get romantic about shit like that. You know, and they're like, "I don't need anybody. I'm my own man." You're wrong. If anybody that thinks that there's something as such as self-made, I'm sorry, man. They haven't looked at their life profoundly. I mean, fucking profoundly looked at their life to really understand that there is no such thing as self-made, right? We have connections. Me and you right now speaking like this. Hypothetically, me and you right now talking, this video goes viral, right? Viral in whatever sense you want it. 1 million, 2,000 views. I don't give a shit. Viral. And someone reaches out to you tomorrow and says, "Hey, Mark, we want you on the show because you had some great points. We would like you to come on the show. In fact, we'll pay you to be on. How's $10,000 sound?" And you're going to go on in 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 shows and say, "Yeah, I'm self-made. Everybody wants me on their show now. I'm self-made." It's like, what are you talking about, dude? The fuck are you talking about? Like, if you're a manager somewhere, supervisor, director, owner of whatever the F you are, and you're going to tell me you're self-made and no one has helped you? You've never had a team that has supported you rising to the top? It's BS.
That would be a lie.
It would be an effing lie. Like, and people do it all the time. So what's my point? That, you know, when it comes earlier to the conversation of not wanting someone, not needing someone, those psychological issues that people run away sometimes from real good relationships, by the way. I've met men and women that have come to me and say, "JT, I don't know why this guy's great for me, but I don't know why I'm sabotaging it." It's a psychological problem that they feel someone, somewhere, some book, some tío, some tía told them, "Hey, you can be your own person. Learn to be by yourself." And they have this struggle internal, like an internal turmoil of like, I love this person, but I can't get this voice out of my head that says, "Be free." I had this employee years ago, a female employee, that was like, "Man, like, I'm going to travel the world and see everything and no one's going to stand in my way, blah, 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 blah." And then every so often I would hear these tragic stories of like how she got her heart broken and the love of her life doesn't love her. And it's like, are you serious? It's like, are you going to be the lone wolf and preach about that and lie to yourself, really? That you don't need anybody and that you're going to make somehow millions in your life and be happy on your own? Or are you going to then whine about not having someone?
Let's use some of the examples here for when it comes to self-made. And, you know, like we said, there's no such thing. Because if you think about it, let's use some popular figures. Ellen DeGeneres with her show.
Mm-hmm.
And let's use another base example. Let's think of like either an actor or someone famous or someone that's well-known. Use an example for me.
Let's see here. Self-made. You want to get political?
Sure.
You want to use the one that everybody uses?
Political
Trump?
side.
You want to use that one that everybody uses? Trump? Self-made?
Okay, let's use Trump.
Yeah.
If Trump didn't have people that were smarter than him, because his advisors or people, even sometimes like, you know, his cleaners around his properties, things of that sort, even like the lowliest of low employees.
Yeah.
If the support system was not there, he wouldn't be as big as he is right now.
I'm right.
Even for Ellen's show, if they didn't have a cameraman, if they didn't have like a microphone, like with the boom and everything else,
Yeah.
or even with the people that are watching her show,
Yeah.
she wouldn't be as big as she is right now. So
I'm right. Damn right.
It's hard to sometimes, like, I do get that idea, like, you know, like I don't really need anybody else, but I'd like to have someone else. You still have that internal biological wiring that people are meant to be with other people. So
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
they had everybody on lockdown, I'm not sure how it is in California. That's probably why it made people a little bit more unkind, because they're not in a social setting where, what would you say, it keeps them on level ground and not back to the, what do you call them, primitive instincts. of trying to think that everyone's trying to attack you.
So, I think more than anything, man, people say things like that because Trump has said it too, right? He said it, he said things like, oh, I only got a small loan for $2 million. That makes him self-made, right? That's fine. What I think the problem is that the moment individuals give credit, this happens in businesses too, by the way. It's funny that we're talking about this because me and a colleague were having a similar discussion Friday about individuals that the moment they feel they're giving an inch to someone else of gratification, of appreciation, of admiration, whatever effing word you want to use, they now are weaker, right? They now are vulnerable to that person. And it's extremely sad because those individuals will never leave that state of mind, right? And they will always repeat that same thing to themselves, right? Oh yeah, I have this person, but they only done this little bit for me. I've done the rest. If they ever give an inch in, usually they won't. Usually they'll say things like, I only got a loan of $2 million. Why say it like that? Why not say, I got a gift of $2 million. I found $2 million. Someone gave me $2 million. Why use the word loan? Because to you and I, loan means I got to repay it back. So therefore, we assume he repaid it back, and now he's self-made. So it's like if I ask you for your wrench right now, right, in your shop. Hey, can I borrow your wrench? And I do it, whatever I do with it, and I give it back to you. Whew, man, look at that job. All by myself. Didn't need anything from anyone else. You can come to me and say, I just let you borrow my fucking wrench. I give it back to you, dude. I used it for like 2 seconds. I won't ask you for your wrench anymore, right? Man, it was like 2 seconds. You act like you did something for me. And that's what happens, dude. I don't want to be vulnerable to you. I don't want you to I feel like you have something on me now, so I won't accept that. You lend me the wrench. I use it momentarily. You call it 2 hours. I say momentarily, and I return your wrench. Leave me alone. I don't owe anything to you. Yeah. And I think that's what happens, man. It's a stupid analogy, if you may, but that's what happens in life sometimes. We refuse to give any kind of, consideration to the fact that we have had help. We need help. And that's just the way life is. Right? But we get romantic about being a lone wolf. Someone in life fucking tell their kid, hey, you be independent. Hey, you be a lone wolf. Hey, you fight your own way. And then that person grows up and says, yeah, daddy. Yes, mommy. Okay. They grow up and saying, oh, I don't need friends. I don't need a woman. I don't need a man. There's a deeper conversation about this to have later, but I'm very passionate about this topic because people get really romantic.
They do. And it's actually becoming like a very, very common theme. And it's perfectly okay to be able to stand on your own 2 legs. Mm-hmm. But where we're going with this as well, it's also perfectly okay and perfectly healthy to ask for help. Even if you sound like a excuse the language, a weak bitch.
Yeah, I get it. No, I get it. Yeah.
And if you seem pathetic, it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think actually people don't ask for enough guidance, right? And this is not to be confused with anybody listening saying, "Oh, wait a minute, so you want people to give handouts?" No. Calm down. No one's saying a handout, right? My wife doesn't give me any handouts. My wife and I have a relationship we have because we equally fulfill some void in each other's lives, right? We help each other. We're a partnership. I need her and she needs me, right? Can we both do without each other? Hell, can we both be with different people? I'm sure. I don't care to think about it, but yeah, I'm sure she can be with someone else and I can be with someone else. I'm sure she can be with nobody and I can be with nobody. But as a 14-year-old marriage and counting, and I say very proudly, we have discovered and appreciate and embrace that we fulfill something in each other's lives, right? Where, hey, you help me, I help you, success, right? Does that make me weak? I don't think it does. Can somebody say, well, it does? Okay, well, that's your opinion. it doesn't make me weak, and I don't see it as a weakness. I see it as a strength. My wife is like a fucking wall for me, right? She helps me block so much negativity in my fucking life that I can be my own worst enemy, and I think most of us can. And my wife is consistently there to be a wall for my own stupidity, for my own negative thoughts, right? I honestly, man, right? I have that, and you know,
what did she say when you're about to do something dumb?
Oh, she'll ask me, "Is that what you want to do?" Right? She's like almost like a wall, like almost like, "Hey," she'll ask me questions to kind of get the answer out of me, right? What I need to hear out loud, and a lot of times she doesn't say it. She'll get me to say it, and I'm like,
Like,
good point,
you
sweetie.
got a point there.
You got a point. I mean, I said it, but yes, good point. You have a good point, right? And you know, I think more people need that. But what's the problem? We are so wrapped up in our cocoon. I have a buddy. I consider him a friend. I'll say a friend. I have a friend that, man, I wish he can get out of his own way. He's had so many failed relationships. To this day, he's alone because he cannot get out of his own goddamn way. Why? Because he argues with the freaking wall if he could, right? He's okay for like maybe a few days and then flips, and there's no stopping once he flips. He flips and he'll make an enemy out of anyone, right? And that's not a relationship. There's so much that goes into having a successful relationship, and just flipping because he can't have your way. I'm sorry. And you know, he's told me, no, one day I'm going to find the perfect woman. Hey, you keep looking, homie.
That would just be like a kid that didn't get his ice cream, and so he clenches his fist with his face red, cheeks puffed out, saying, "I want my ice cream." Like,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, stomps his feet in the ground and everything. Yeah, exactly like that, dude. And I think he's a great guy. I honestly consider him. When we first met, we didn't get along, and you know, now I think he's a great guy. I think he has a lot of potential. I think he's a guy that, you know, can go very far in life. But I know he really wants a family with a wife and children and everything, and he can do so much for himself if he just got out of his own way, right? If he allowed himself.
Yeah, it sounds like a maturity issue.
Yeah, to some extent, yes. Arguably, yes, it could be. He is young, right? He's much younger than me. But I think that's the problem, man, with a lot of individuals. You know, that it's what we were just saying right now about parenting, right? It's kind of like what you heard growing up. You know, you said it about yourself, right? You grew up. I'm not sure if in your case you were referring to it being more of a cultural thing, or just in your household kind of thing, where you grew up, you kind of heard some things, and then it made you for a moment in your life the different man than what you are now, right? You are now a different person. I don't think you're at the verge right now of, you know, being upset, but maybe what, 10 years ago you would be, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. So, you know, it's
the way that it was set up is whatever I wanted, my mom got it to me,
right.
And if I wasn't, then I would throw a hissy fit, and she would give me whatever I wanted. No. And whenever I got a no, I raised up a heck storm, and that's how it's been for like the longest time.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I was mentally and emotionally immature for, I can't even tell you how long it was. And my ex-fiance was actually the catalyst for change.
Really?
Like what you said, you're old man. You didn't have to actually weigh 500 pounds to realize being overweight is bad.
Right. Yeah.
You just heard it from someone else, and you're like, I should do something about it.
Correct.
And you're either a person like you or a person like me who has to hit the wall, figuratively speaking, and say, you know, like, what I'm doing is not working. Something has to change.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. When did you discover that? How old were you?
I was about 28 years old at the time. I'm now 30.
Wow.
And
good for you, man.
Really, for the last 2 years, it's been nothing but personal development.
Good for you.
And the more that you go through these kinds of things, I mean, like, you know, life is a very thorough teacher.
Right.
It's very, very thorough. It makes you not forget those kinds of things. And, you know, from that point on is that I've learned, and I found this to be true, that if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah. Damn right. Damn right, man. Damn right. That's so true. Do you feel, by the way, that what you went through as a kid, right, what you said with your mom giving you whatever you want, is that something?
Anything and everything.
Is that what happened?
Anything and everything
Anything and everything. So do you think that was,
that I wanted.
if you think that was just in your family, or do you think that's a cultural thing?
It was because like my mom didn't get exactly any kind of, what would you say, any kind of privilege at all.
Okay.
They were pretty much like what you would call dirt poor, to a point where she made the point to go to Japan to be able to support my family, our relatives, everyone else.
Damn.
Yep,
Wow.
she went out of country for that one, and so she got my cousins through college and all that fun jazz. So I guess like at being her kid, she couldn't really tell me no, because when she was a kid, she never had anything.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
it was, in a way, it was good intentions, but it wasn't actually done properly, to a point where that's how I lived personally for the longest time. And she didn't know any better, and so she was just trying to help, her kids. She
Yeah.
didn't know any better, and I didn't know any better.
Well, cheers to your mom. And, good that, obviously there were some great things that she did for you as a kid that maybe at one point or another, might have set you off course, but clearly you're back on course, and that's good for you. It looks like my camera's telling me that we have like 4 minutes until it shuts off, because I haven't cleared out the freaking SD card. But no, listen, man, I honestly, this is the second time we have a conversation, and man, I really enjoy the dynamic of back and forth. I know I talk a lot, but I really enjoy your point of view, the different perspective you give me sometimes on some things. So I really appreciate that, and I really hope that at one point or another you do another one of these with us, man. It's good. Next time if you want, I'll bring some topics. I'll shoot your way early, and then you can tell me what you think about them.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes like if you like the best way that I find to be as genuine as possible is when you ask someone for their thoughts on the spot.
Yeah.
It's not
That's true.
premeditated.
That's
It
true.
wasn't thought of beforehand.
That's
It
true.
is as legitimate as it gets.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, hey, if you don't have a problem with that, then on the next
That's
one,
why
I'll bring
when-
you on. I'll just spit fire some topics your way, and I'll clean out the XC card as well. I might buy a bigger one. I guess this one only
Yeah.
holds an hour.
So when she suggested it to me, my cousin, she's like, "Do you want these topics beforehand?" I never wanted in the first place, because that's how you get like the real juicy stuff, is just ask him right on the spot.
I love it. All right, man. I love it. Well, thanks for coming on the show, man, Mark. I really appreciate it, like always. Appreciate your time. I know you're probably a busy guy, and I appreciate you carving some time on your Sunday to come on here and speak with me. And look out for the show. Probably release somewhere in the next week or so once I upload it. Just be hard upload and be organic, which is what I want the show to be. So thanks for coming on the show, man. You have any last thoughts, since we have a 2-minute timer there?
So for the last 2 minutes, it's perfectly okay to be where you're at. It's perfectly okay to have the kind of upbringing that you had. But the thing is that no one will have to want it as much as you do to be able to actually make the change. Nothing is permanent. And if you think about it, you're not a still water. A still water gets murky, it gets algae, it gets really gross.
Yeah.
But if you keep on moving and keep on striving to be better than you were yesterday, you don't compare yourself to anybody else but yourself. Who were you yesterday, and how do you be better? Because until you make that point to be better than yourself yesterday, you can actually improve. You are like the pebble that's dropped in still water, and you make a ripple of change.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
be that person.
Nice, man. I like it. I won't add anything else to that. That was beautiful on its own. Hey, Mark. Again, thanks for coming on. I appreciate your time. And yeah, man, we're good.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
Cool. Thanks, brother. Take care of yourself.
We'll see ya.
See ya.